Hello everybody and welcome to my very first instructional video. My name is Jehu. If you're watching this, chances are you're in my cartooning class. But there is, of course, the off chance that you're from the internet. So thank you for watching. I hope this is informative. The purpose of this lesson, or this general idea, is for learning how to just sculpt generally simple heads or faces that you can then use as reference for your drawings. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm just going to be using this software. It's called Sculptris. I highly recommend it because it's free and it's magnificent. You can do a lot of things with it. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing that I would do is I would change the field of view from 35, which is the default, to 15, and that will reduce perspective distortion. Of course, you can always switch it back, but for modeling, I always like to have not as much perspective distortion, just so that I can see things fairly straightforward. So I recommend turning it all the way down to 15. If you're using a tablet, you can go through here, set all the different you can set all the different parameters, so you can adjust pressure sensitivity, brush spacing, and whatnot. So I'm actually going to turn this down a bit to 8. That's fine. Okay. So let's take a look at this. This is our simple sphere. Whenever you open up Sculptris, this is what you'll have. You'll have a sphere. If you hit this button over here, it will show the wireframes, and you can see that it's made out of triangles. And as you start sculpting, it's going to increase the amount of triangles and start adding detail for whatever it is that you're sculpting. This here is the grab tool. Now this can be used a couple of different ways. You can set it to global, and you can move the object around. That might come in handy. Or you can turn it off, turn global off, and then you can use it kind of to move around the points of the sphere, kind of like clay. So this is a very useful tool, and you'll be using this quite a bit as you start sculpting. You can change the size of it with this slider over here, or you can press the bracket buttons to change the size. So let's go ahead, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start shaping this into a fairly simple head. Now, let's go ahead and turn off wireframe, and you'll notice that there's this line kind of coming down the front of this sphere, or it used to be a sphere, this lump of clay now. And you can show that over here. You can turn it on and off. I like to start with it on just so that I can see where my center line is. But then as I have more details, say I get a nose or a mouth or eyes in there, then you can turn that off, and it will not show that line. So let's go ahead and click save. Now, to rotate the camera, or rather to rotate the object, you click out here and drag, just to kind of move it around. You can move up, down. You can look at it from any angle you would like. And to lock it into a specific angle, say you want to look at it from the front, just hit the shift button, and the shift button, you can tell down here it says front, will show you the perspective. It'll be straight angle pretty much. From the side, you can do that, the right side, left side, from the top, from the bottom, and of course from the back. So you can do lots with this. So let's go ahead and keep shaping this. So I want to look at it from the front so that I can start getting in the shape of a head. So there we go. That's how we start. And now what you can do is you can start adding in a neck. So I'm just going to turn the size down for this a bit. And from down here, I'm just going to pull. Just pulling down to get a neck. So pretty simple so far. Let's look at it from the right. Let's move it a bit forward. Spread it out a bit. Okay, so So far we've got just a very simple shape. One thing that I want to keep track of are the overall structures of this. So I'm looking at it from the front here, and I'm looking at this circle over here. Whenever I draw heads, I like to use the Loomis Approach. I'll make a link to a very useful video for how to draw the head with the Loomis Approach. But this is, you want a circle here, and you want this space here for the jaw. Then you can turn to the side, and then you can change your brush down a bit. Actually, let's turn it so we can see this. Now, one thing you'll notice is that you don't get complete orthographic perspective. In other words, there's always some sort of real perspective. So when I turn it to the side, you can't see that center line that goes around the shape. And it takes a little bit of spinning it this way so that you can actually see it. And that's true to how the eye sees things. For example, when you hold a sphere straight in front of you, you're never going to actually see the true sides of that sphere because your eye kind of looks around it. So let's keep going with this. So first thing I want to do is I want to just kind of start shaping out this area for the nose, for the eyes. So even already you can kind of see where I'm going with this. So around here is where we're going to have our eyebrows. Let's actually bring them down a little bit. And right now I've got Symmetry on. Where's the button? So Symmetry is over here. If I wanted to, oh goodness, one-way operation, sure, that was loud. Anyways, you can do this, and you can do that, and it won't do the same thing on both sides, but if you turn it back on, that is really loud. Okay, thank you, Windows. But if you have it on, anything you change on one side is going to change on the other side. So there you go. You can already start thinking at how you can use both of those settings to make a useful, to use them. Anyways, I'm not good at talking to myself sometimes. Anyway, so let's keep moving. Let's keep adding some form to this. So now, what I want to think about, I'm going to switch over to the draw tool really quick, and I'm going to have clay on, and I'm going to turn the size down a little bit. Let's keep it like that. And so I'm just going to draw really quickly here. So the jaw is going to come down through here, down this way, and what this brush does is it adds a little bit of clay on top, or it's kind of like adding a little bit of clay. So you can add it. If you hold down the Alt button, you can subtract it. So whatever it is you're trying to do, the Alt button is very useful as well. So I'm looking at it straight from the side now. For the Loomis Approach, you want to think about it this way. From the eyebrows over to the side of the head, you'll have this line, and wherever the eyebrows are, that's going to be about the top of the ear. And so then the ear can come down around here, and the bottom of the ear is going to meet up with the base of the nose, kind of like this. And so right now we've got it kind of fat. Let's go ahead. Oh, I'm using the wrong brush. I'm going to hit G to switch over to my grab brush. And it's a good idea to get familiarized with all of these. Smooth it out. If you hold down Shift, you can smooth out the triangles. And so I'll show you that in a second. But first I want to get my nose. There we go. Let's push sides in a little bit. Looks like we want to push it in over here as well. Alright, so there we go. We're starting to get a bit of a better shape. And that's essentially what you're going to be doing. You're just going to be pushing and pulling until you get the shapes that you want. So here we go. Now let's bring out a little bit. Actually, instead of doing it that way, I'm going to start adding some clay to show you what this does. I'm going to turn the brush size down a bit. And I'm going to start, I'm actually going to, if you have a tablet, you can take a look at this over here. It says size and it says strength. And this little button says that pressure sensitivity is active for that. So, if let's turn off strength and just use size, pressure sensitivity, you'll notice that the harder I press, the bigger that addition is. If I don't have that turned on, but I have strength turned on, the size is the same, but the harder I press, the more is added. The less I press, the less is added. So, something to think about as you use the software. And clay is going to make it kind of squarish. Rather, if you take a look at it, it kind of adds a flat surface to it. And you can think about it as adding strips of clay on top of the clay that's already there. And then you can use the smooth button to smooth it out with the clay that is already there. But let's go ahead and undo that and keep working on our simple shapes. Okay, so I'm going to push in a little bit here. Whoops, wrong button again. So let's switch over to grab again. Push in here a little bit. And that's right, I was actually going to work on the mouth area. Let's go ahead and smooth this out before I do. Oops, smooth it there. And as you keep going, it's just going to start adding a lot more triangles, and it might be a little bit trickier to smooth it out. If you turn on wireframe, you can see that we've got lots more triangles in the areas where we've worked the most. Right through here, there's a higher density of triangles, and that's just the detail that the software puts into that particular part of the model. And you can see where we drew with that clay brush. You can see a whole lot more triangles. But where we haven't touched, you still have the general same amount of triangles from the beginning. And there's a way to reduce the amount of triangles to reduce the stress on the computer as you keep going. But we'll talk about that later. For now, this is a very simple lesson, and we're just going to be making a simple head shape, not even too much detail or anything. Let's go ahead and add some clay right through here, just to kind of start rounding off that front part of the mouth. Smooth it out. Alrighty, we've got this much. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to fix the chin. I think the chin might be a little bit too long, definitely a bit too long, so I'm just going to move the whole thing. Now the trick to using the grab tool like this is to move in soft little taps like this. If you move too much, you're going to get something like this. But if you want to just adjust it barely, you can move in soft taps like this, and it'll smooth out as you go, so you don't really have to worry about going back in and smoothing out a curve, say for the head or for the chin or for something like that. So there we go. That chin is a little bit better, maybe a little bit more. Let's bring down some of the skin underneath the chin. There we go. Let's bring out the neck a little bit more. As you can see, something that's happening also is I'm getting this kind of distortion, because when I look at it straight from the side, you can't see the middle, and you're not actually applying these changes to the middle, but then you can smooth it out, and it kind of brings down that entire section, and then you can just keep going. Alright, so far we've got this much. Let's go ahead and smooth out that area right here. We've got our chin. Let's go ahead and bring in these cheeks a little bit. We don't really want them to be out too much. Let's go ahead and make the chin a little bit thinner, a little bit more slender chin. There we go. Let's smooth it out a bit. Don't want to smooth that part. Smooth this. I'm actually going to make the chin a little pointier here. Alright, that's good enough for now. We'll keep going, we'll keep moving. So next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start working on the lips a little bit. So this here is a crease brush. Now let me show you what this does. Let's zoom in to the mouth area right here. Oh, so I haven't mentioned, in case you're trying to figure it out, I've got the quick help over here, and it'll show you all the different controls that you need for getting around the canvas. That's what we'll call it. As like clicking is rotating. If you hold down Alt and drag, you can move it around, rather move the camera around. If you hold down Alt, click and hold, release Alt, you can actually zoom in and out. Anyways, you probably figured that out by now, so let's keep going. So I'm going to use this Crease tool to show you something really cool. Let's turn the strength up so you can see it a bit more. And I'm going to turn off pressure sensitivity just for this demonstration. So this is actually going to push down. Oh, well, this is embarrassing. Let's go ahead and close it out. Open it back up. And so occasionally you'll get a crash like that. But lucky for us, we've got it actually saves files. So, what am I doing? Okay, so another thing is that whenever it loads into full screen, it doesn't load properly into full screen. Just kind of go to regular screen and then full screen it again. But lucky for us, we've got recover from crashes because it does that occasionally. So no need to worry too much about that because it does kind of keep that information and store it for you. Anyways, let's turn this off. This might be what makes it crash, but I don't think so. If you crease like that, it's kind of like taking a little knife and cutting into the clay, and so you can get lots of very interesting details. And I turn this down and see what this does. Okay, so if you have detail all the way up, it's going to be a lot smoother line. Now take a look at the difference. That's a very smooth, very high amount of repetitions that changes apply to it. If you turn it down all the way, you can tell that it's kind of very low res. So keep that in mind for all the different things that you'll be doing. But for now, let's turn the detail to about medium. And let's turn on strength, pressure sensitivity, turn it down a bit. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut in that crease for the mouth. Let's bring it down a bit, actually, and bring it up a bit for the lip, and I'm just going to cut out to about here. Okay, so that gives us a very simple crease for our mouth, but we're going to be building from there. Let's go back to our draw tool, use some clay, and start building it up with some clay right through here. Let's actually turn off clay, and now the difference is that this is going to give you a rounder result versus using clay, which gives you a flat top result. And then you can just kind of start pulling out the lips. I'm going to start giving the bottom lip a bit more fullness. There we go, just very simple. Again, doing this very quickly. I'm not trying to be perfect or anything. But one thing that's happening is that the mouth is really flat. So the mouth actually curves up around this part right here. So let's go ahead and fix that. Let's go ahead and grab our grab tool again. I'm going to turn it down just so that I barely get this part right here. I'm going to flip it backwards. I'm also going to pull it out to the side. So the camera itself actually contributes to the function of the operation. So say move. If you hold it like this and you move out this way, you can tell that it's actually moving across this way. But if you hold it like this and move it across this way, you're actually moving across in a different direction. So keep that in mind as you work. So let's go ahead and let me show you something else. I'm going to use flatten now. Now flatten, what that does is it does exactly what it says. It's going to flatten out certain surfaces. So let's say I wanted to flatten the bottom of the nose like that. Now turn from the side. You actually see I kind of polished it. Let's go ahead and turn off that line for now, just so that we can work on the nose. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flatten the sides of the nose like that, just to kind of give you a general idea of where those planes of the nostril are going to be. I can then move. Let's turn it down a bit. Move the sides of the nostrils out. Let's bring the nose out a little more. And now what I can do is I can switch back to a little size, and then again slowly start getting that definition for the nose. And so all noses are different sizes, different shapes. So go with whatever. Let's smooth that out. I don't like the way that looks. Go with whatever you're going for your specific model. But let's go ahead and use the crease again. Let's turn the detail up this time so that I can get the crease kind of here along the nose, just so I can kind of start defining the nostrils. I want it to be about this big. It's going to be a small round nose. Then I can kind of smooth out this part over here. There we go. I'm kind of getting the shape. Now, because I have the nose there, let's go ahead and switch back over to the grab tool. And move this back and over. So that we can kind of start getting the shape of the nose in place. Smoothing it out a bit. Now look what happens when you smooth with this. Let me turn on wireframe. When you smooth, you're pretty much just going to start moving those triangles around. It doesn't add any extra definition, but it does kind of flatten them. If you have a lot of triangles like in this area next to a very sparsely populated area like this, it's going to flatten those triangles out. Now notice this over here, it's not going to do that much. It does a little, but not that much. So let's go ahead and take a look at this brush right here. It's called Reduce Brush, this one over here. And the shortcut for this is Y. Now notice what this does. This actually will reduce the amount of triangles that you have in a certain area so that not a lot of processing power is going to be needed, but also say you have this part up here. I don't need these many triangles up here because there isn't that much detail in the forehead. So I'm just going to start reducing this area like that. And you'll notice that I still have the general shape. If I tried, however, to reduce the amount of triangles that I have on the mouth, I'm eventually going to start losing some of that definition. You can see it goes away almost completely. So let's go ahead and undo that part. And I'm not going to worry too much about it right now. So holding Alt doesn't do anything. I was wondering if it was going to increase. Oh, it does increase, I think. Something's happening. So it does increase the amount of triangles you have. But again, you probably don't want to do that because the engine does it automatically. So let's keep going. Let's turn off wireframe. And now we've got a very simple, just very fast made shape of a head. So this is definitely not finished by any means necessary. Let's go ahead and make this bigger. I'm just kind of figuring things out as I go. But what we are going to start doing is we're going to start seeing how this is going to be helpful for us whenever we are trying to draw. Because the purpose of this is not, again, to make a perfect shaped head. We want to figure out how we can use this tool to draw our cartoons, especially our heads, because heads are fairly tricky to draw. Oops, turn on a little bit, didn't do that. So let's go ahead and flatten the head a little bit. We don't want it to be such round. Let's make the back of the head a little bit bigger, give them a little bit fuller cranium. Alright, so now let's take a look at what we can do. Let's analyze the head for a second. Let's take a look at the Loomis Approach. I'm going to switch over to Paint. Whenever you switch over to Paint, I'm going to keep it at 512 resolution. And let's go ahead and hit OK. It's going to map out the vertices and do this. Okay, so now we've got our map on here. So let's just go ahead and paint on here really quick. So let's see, what color do we have activated? Good. Let's turn the size down. Let's turn off that for strength. Let's turn up the hardness, just so that we can see what we've got here. Now, the Loomis Approach is the following. You've got yourself a circle. Whoops. A circle kind of all around the head, and you can think about it this way. You've got your circle, and then what you do is you want to divide the circle into the different parts so you can kind of start getting an idea of the shapes that are needed to construct it. If you then take another circle, do this, what you're going to do, what you're doing with this circle is you're making sure that this part is going to be 2/3 of the entire rest of the circle. And now whenever you're drawing, this is essentially what you're thinking about. You're thinking about the shapes. Now, take a look at what happens when I look at it from the side. These circles are completely going to change. See, now they're not even circles at all. They look kind of weird. So that's why we're keeping it on the side for now. Now, if you make a line that divides this inner circle in half and follow it across, you'll get to where the eyebrows are. If you take a line from the bottom of the circle, you get to about where the nose is. Now the ear, let's go ahead and invert the colors. The ear is going to be right here. Oops. The ear is about here. Our eyebrows are about here. Our eye is going to be around here. Our nose is there. Our mouth is here. And you get the general placement of all of these things. Switch back our colors. Now, from here you can bring down a line that is going to become the jaw, and it comes forward down this way. And you'll notice that where these two circles intersect with this line, or where this circle intersects with this line, is where it's going to be the corner of the eyebrows, pretty much. And you're going to find that area fairly easily doing that. You can also, there's also a rhythm that comes down from here. It kind of goes up this way. That finds you this corner right here. This corner is very important because that's essentially where the cheekbone is going to be. And so it helps you really to understand all these things. The nose juts out a little bit, and for male characters, the jaw comes straight down. But say you had a female character, the jaw would come down a little bit at an angle like this. And again, let's go ahead and undo those. The shape of the jaw as well is going to be different for male and female characters. You're going to have a stronger jaw shape for a male character and a rounder shape for a female character. The forehead's also going to be different. For a male character, your forehead is going to come back at an angle like this, but for a female character, it's actually going to go up and come up around here. It's going to be, females actually have taller foreheads than male characters. So, as you've seen, this is a fairly simple way of making a head so that you can actually turn it from different angles so you can see what happens. You'll see where you have those circles. Let's go ahead and clear this. Let's see, how can I clear? Let's clear it. Nope, I want to clear it. Hold down F and do that? No. Hold down Control. I really don't know what's going on. Anyways, it turned to purple, or blue rather. So, let's actually talk about the face from the front. And so again, you've got your rhythms. You've got this circle down through here. You've got that, whoops. You've got that line. If you have that circle that goes around the side, that line would come across the middle like this. And then you would have your hairline up here. Now, from here to here to here, from the front are going to be very similar angles. And also from the bottom of the nose down to the chin, you're going to have thirds. This is going to be the hairline. Notice that you'll have more hair up here whenever you're drawing your character, because it forms kind of a cushion or helmet around the head, so that the eyes themselves are actually going to sit at the 1/2 point. That's a 1/2. I don't know what that is. Anyways, so that's what you're going to get whenever you start drawing your characters. And so then you can use these simple shapes to kind of turn them around so you can actually see them from different angles. And I recommend taking screenshots of this. Okay, I don't know how to clear it. It says fill clear, but I have no idea. Oh, there we go. Alt and clicking this is going to, so Control Alt F is going to clear it. Nope, just Alt and clicking this. Control Alt and clicking that? Weird, I guess it cycles through them. I don't really know. Anyways, So let's go back to sculpt mode. There's actually no way to go back to sculpt mode without saving and then opening the object again. So you can just save it really quick. Head shape. And then go back to open and open up the thing you just saved. It says that it has mapping data for paint, but we don't want to go to paint. Let's just go ahead and hit oh, that is loud. And then it's going to ask us to discard the paint data for the file, and we'll go ahead and click yes. And so we're back in sculpt mode. So now you can use this, you can rotate it around, zoom in, zoom out to find exactly the right angle that you're trying to draw. Once you get just the simple proportions in there, you'll be able to get angles from any direction. Let's go ahead and turn up the field of view just so you can see what's happening. I'm going to turn it up to 55 degrees. And now notice that we're all the way over here. But notice what's going to happen when I zoom in. We're going to get a lot more perspective distortion. It's like you're actually looking at the head from right up close. If you don't want that much distortion, notice what's going to happen whenever I turn it down. Let's go from here, actually. We'll get a better view. Whenever I turn this down, well, I can turn it down, and I zoom in. If you zoom in this much and there's nowhere to click, you can see there's a slightly marked rectangle outside here, and you can actually use that to zoom and to move around. Notice the shapes. Notice what happened. Notice that we can see a lot more of the chin. It's not quite so distorted. So again, you can use that for whatever kind of drawing that you're trying to make. You can turn it up. Look at it from close. You get extreme distortion if you want a really close-up shot of your character. It'll be extremely distorted. Or if you want about a medium view, you can turn it down to about 35. That's like you're standing next to the character. You're not right up close, but you can see there's a little bit of distortion. Just a tiny bit though. You can also switch it to 15, and this is like you're standing really far away, or you're using a telescope to look at it this close. But if you're standing further away, there's going to be less perspective distortion. Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and stop this lesson here. This has been a very simple introduction to how you can use this to make simple shapes that you can actually use to draw as reference. So, thank you for watching, and I'll be back with more soon. Thanks.